Welcome to our time together to have a conversation about spirituality. So, this is Expansions for Promise Resource Network, and I am here at a different location, um, kind of starting to expand my relationship in a spiritual community. So, as you hop on, tune in, if you feel like saying, "Hey, I would love to have your hey," because it's just fun that way. And hopefully you enjoy this experience, this conversation that we're about to have. So welcome. I'm glad you all are here, and hopefully you can hear me okay. I totally forgot the little microphone thing because I do that sometimes. Sometimes I have the microphone thing on and I forget to turn it on, and then people are like, "No sound," and I'm like, "Oh my bad." Anyway, so how you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
How you doing?
Okay.
Yeah. Yo, I've had so many people reach out that are like in like big activation mode, meaning um they're in a space of like potential up leveling. Like potential expansion, and they're ready for it, and they're like, I'm aware of it. Like this is a hard time, and I'm aware that this is a hard time, and I'm okay that this is a hard time, and I need to get through it. And I don't really know how to get through it, but I know how to get through it. Like that's kind of what people have been saying to me. Yeah. Like that's not all day, every day. Are y'all feeling that?
Yeah.
Like now?
There's that part of like, I don't want to question it too much because I always do, and just trust in the process. Like, trust.
Just trust.
But also just like what is the trust and what is the effort and what is the, like, just be patient, you know?
Hey, welcome, join, have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. It's good to see you.
Good to see you
I love your outfit.
Thank you.
Right? That like there's this like interesting space I think that we're moving through where it's like, okay, so I get to apply discernment. And discernment of like, what is this? Is this mine? Is it someone else's? Can I get through it with faith or with trust? Or is it something that I just need to surrender? Or is it something I just need to walk away from?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, I feel like we're like, hey, well, don't be. Like, everything is perfect timing. We're just kind of just starting to anchor in a little bit. But I think that many of us are in that space of like, how do I move through it? Do I move through it? Do I walk through it? Do I blaze through it? Do I burn it down? Do I piece myself out? Do it? Like how am I actually going to get through this? Hey, welcome to now. Hello, welcome to now. Hello, welcome to now. Hello, welcome. Make yourself comfy. And we have like little cushies and yeah, you can like however you're comfy. And then there's also that table, which can that table can also be moved if you want to like sit on that table space. And because then you may be on camera, are you okay now?
Oh, no. Okay. No, I mean, I don't care.
I mean, if you stay right there, you won't be, but if you move this way, you will be.
I'm good.
Okay.
There might be more people.
Yeah? Okay. Oh yeah, there may be. So I am live streaming this for Promise Resource Network. And so whoever wants to like tune in live or catch this on a replay will just kind of be privy to this conversation. And I'm going to be the only one on the camera unless your arm and a little bit of your face. But if you, oh God, you're famous now. I mean, I can move it if you're really not comfortable.
Oh, I don't.
You don't care? Okay, cool.
Who's that elder with you all? Multi-generational.
Right? We're multi-generational. So that's, this is a part of this satsang, this community. So I feel like most of us are here. There may be other spirits in body or not in body that join us. So we're just hold space for any spirits in form or not in form that may want to join us at any timeline. Does that feel good? So there is, if you go in this door and wrap around to the left, you'll see them.
I don't want to interrupt, so it'd be better to just. do it
Yes,
now.
and there's also a water fountain in there too.
I'm doing good. What about you?
Welcome to new people.
Hi, Jen. Nice to meet you, Jenna Morgan.
Sorry, green.
It's like,
I see.
It's
Yeah.
like that you last time. Kind of sort of.
why?
That I kind of sort of got.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
It's like meeting of the minds.
Right.
It really was the heart minds. So before we like really drop in, I want to wait for Christine to come back.
Reading a journal was a really good idea. I should have done that.
Oh,
I had it.
well,
but it
luckily
was inside.
this will actually be recorded, so you can actually
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
replay
good
it.
idea,
So
yeah.
that's something I think is really handy. So this concept of this, yeah, yes, please,
What's the time frame? Is there like an
yes, 7.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like all hard stop at 7, and then if anybody like we can still hang out for however long that looks like, but it is a hard stop at 7. Yes, thank you for asking. So expansions for the Promised Resource Network has turned into what I've realized is a satsang. And a satsang is what expansions is. So if you ever tuned in or experienced that, it's where we get together. There's a little drop-in meditation. There may be a little breath work, and there's a topic around spirituality, whatever that looks like, right? Because that to me is like the infinite. We literally can talk about the infinite and consciousness and the quantum and love and compassion and life and death and birth and rebirth and all of these things, and hold space for everybody to share without any judgment, 100% acceptance, and also holding space so we can share the air and be heard and be seen. So that's like my intention for this space, and kind of see where it grows being in a new physical space. So I would like to just connect for a second, because we've all had a day, right? Like y'all didn't just like get reborn into this now, even though it may feel like it. So to reconnect with who you are, just take a big deep breath. Just let it go however that is for you. Start to notice the sounds around you first. The cars, the motorcycles, the sirens, the horns, the birds, the bees, and the breath of the person next to you. Start to tune in to the weight of your body on this earth, the beating of the heart within you, the pumping of the blood, the salt water that flows, the electricity that moves throughout so much of your body. Become aware of the expansion of your lungs as you breathe in, and the feeling of surrender and release as you breathe out. Bringing into awareness of all the experiences that you've had in this day and in this life up to this point, and come back into this present moment, this eternal space of the forever now. Nothing to do, nowhere to be, other than here in your body with your breath in community, with an open mind and an open heart. Together we take a big breath in and a big sigh out. So I'm really grateful that y'all are here in this new location, in this new community, spiritual community building experience. So I'm just really grateful. And something that I kind of want to bring up and kind of start to open this with is what is actually happening on this earth plane, because what the heck is this experience? But for real, like I'm noticing And some of this stuff, it's like what astrologers are saying. Some of the stuff is like what I am downloading. Some of the stuff, it's been reflected to me from others. So take everything with whatever grain of salt and however it lands, because I'm also curious your perspective and your experience and kind of what you're picking up on. Any hoozles. So it's like this time of all these planets doing their little, oh, I'm dancing. I'm not moving anymore. I'm just going to chill out. It's like this time that we're all looking at all of this like deep stuff within. And it's like for the next week or so, it's going to be like, you're going to have so much time and space that if you have some subconscious lingering anything that's not serving you, it is going to be brought up into your conscious awareness, right? And I'm talking like old school stuff, like deep-seated fears of like the I'm not enoughness, or what if I'm not a good parent? What if I'm a bad partner? What if I'm going to be alone? You know, these like proverbial like unknowns and what ifs, that when we really go there and we look at ourselves and we go, oh my God, what if I fail? Or what if they see me? Or what if they don't see me? You know, that these really deep fears of like not enoughness, too muchness, unknownness, confusion, and it's in ways that are manifesting like, what if I actually, oh God, I need to change my job, but what if I can't? What if I quit my job and then I can't find another job and then I'm going to be homeless again? And what if this and that? And last time I was going through this, I was addicted to these things and I can't do that. So I don't want to make these choices because of this. Last time I was in a relationship, I really effed it up and so I don't know what to do. And so it's like the universe is bringing all of this energy to be brought in so that we can look at this and literally move through it from a different lens, from a different embodiment, like holding more light, holding more energy, not knowing if we need to just like trust and surrender and just let it pass, or if we need to just like burn all the bridges and just keep going. You know, like at what point are we applying what is coming in, which is a big layer of discernment. You know, to discern, well, do I need to burn the bridges or do I need to build a boat? You know, because I know I need to cross, right? So I feel like that's kind of where we are on this collective level in this now. And I see this being real big for the next week. So I'm curious, are y'all experiencing anything like this? Like at all? You're like all of it. That sounds like so much fun. Yeah, like a whole week. Is it vibing with you like that? Are you witnessing it?
Yeah. When did this start? Yes.
10 years ago. No, like big time, just like 2 days ago. And I think it's like a 7 to 10 day span of where these planets are just placed.
Or like going back, like feeling growth, but going back to old habits. And like, it's weird because it's almost like going back to the old habit, but like experiencing it in a different way. And so,
Exactly.
yeah, you get.
I mean, I picked up vaping, I picked up caffeine, and I'm just like experiencing it from a place of non-judgment and actually like embracing the wholeness of the decision that I picked it back out.
Oh,
Yeah, it's incredible to not have the attachment of this is bad.
Oh,
Yeah.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
incredible.
that is an interesting one. I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm really curious if anyone else, because you know, we've grown up in a consciousness and a paradigm and energy field that is so like judgment heavy, right? And so we would say, drink the drink. We'll say we would drink the drink and, or smoke the thing or take the pill or do the thing, distract ourselves, relationship, like whatever the thing is. So we would drink the drink and then it would be like, oh snap, like I really shouldn't have done that. You know, like, because then I made bad decisions. I'm going to remind myself of why I shouldn't have done it. Now I feel bad. I'm going to add some guilt and shame and judgment and all of this. And then I'm either going to like beat myself up or drink some more.
Yeah.
Or just do another expression of some other like negative thing, right? So now we're in this place of like, oh snap, I've released all judgment, you know? So I think many of us are getting opportunities to then do things again in a new way without judgment. And that's where the discernment platter is starting to spin.
Oh yeah.
Because So okay, so I can drink alcohol now, right? I can. I'm not. I don't have an unhealthy relationship with it. I'm not beating myself up for it anymore. This, that, and the other. And at the same time, I know what alcohol physically does to my body. And so, where is my discernment actually being played out?
Yeah.
Or is it? Am I actually neglecting discernment and conscious, heart-led choice to have an experience in a judgment-free zone, which is still doing the same thing as I did before, which is still going to lead me in a further path wherever I am now? And then I ask, why do we need to do those things?
For me, because I've actually explored that with this vaping, like to be able to pick it up and experience it from this non-judgmental place is allowing me to feel the effects on my body without having the judgment, because the judgment just enhances those effects. So then I get to, go through my 2 cartridges of vape and throw the vape away and know that that's the experience I had without judgment.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was just adding to that. It's like consciously choosing to when I see like righteous judgment is discernment in a very healthy way, consciously seen through the eyes of consciousness. Being so mindful and aware of all of the choices that I'm making, and actually realize how responsible I am, like able to respond in that moment of like, oh, I'm consciously choosing this, and feeling the spaciousness of not carrying that judgment. And so that's kind of how I see the judgment with a little j and judgment with a capital J, like righteous judgment only from a place of just consciousness. Discernment in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else experiencing or want to share something on this?
I definitely understand, like picking up old habits, but experiencing them in a different way. I've recently started smoking weed again because I moved out, and my dad wasn't really cool with that. To be able to just do it, but not in excess, but also not judging myself for doing it, but also using it to live within instead of just like doing it recreationally. It's definitely benefited me a lot in like ways that I probably wouldn't have seen before, and it really doesn't have to be that often for me. This isn't like a new habit, I guess. So wow, I kind of relate to that.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Is anyone else, or you were going to share something?
Well, it's just crazy because like mine wasn't one thing. Like the more I analyzed the past 2 days, there's like 6 things that I've like reverted back to or done that I used to do in the past, and they're not all necessarily like things I was running away from. Like one example is like I used to like to make, like in high school, I used to make like hundreds of cards and just hand them out to random people on holidays because I just like doing, and like St. Patrick's Day and like Valentine's Day, like the ones that are like kind of forgotten, and I liked that, and that's something that I picked up. But then also picking up like things that you're not so proud of, and it's just weird because like at first I was like, oh, I have to reflect on all the things that I need to make like really crucial judgments on. And it's kind of nice when you realize that like you can revert back to stuff you liked too. And that's like where the growth is. And that might be why it's okay for you to revert to some things that were maybe negative to you in the past, because now you're also reverting to like good things that are building you in ways that make you stronger to handle what you're doing now better than you did then. So there's not really a conclusion to that thought. It's just
I liked it. I'm glad you shared that thought. I think that something that through my experience personally and then working with others is like there's this experiential reverence for all that we do, like possible, right? So like to smoking marijuana, right? You know, I've had so many people like that's a really big one, especially because it's legal here and it's not legal there, and this and that, and it's a plant medicine, but it's also something that many of us have experienced. It was a form of distraction and abuse. You know, it's like tobacco. It's like I can smoke a Marlboro Red, or I can go in a tobacco ceremony. They're different. Like they're vastly different experiences, right? And I think that that's where discernment comes in. Instead of being like, I can't have any alcohol, or I'm gonna drink again, yeah. But being maybe like, you know, like I'm gonna have an alcohol ceremony, you know, because there are many cultures that use different alcohols, different fermented beverages to drop into a spiritual ceremonial place. And so then I ask, you know, like, are the things that are coming into your nows that can teach us spaces for like growth and expansion and all this other stuff, patience or surrender or forgiveness, blah, blah, blah. Like, are they being met with that same reverence and that same like, oh my God, I just lost that job. You know, and treating that experience like this ceremony of like, ooh, what is in this for me? How can I be now more of service with this new information of this shit that I get to grow through? Like, and so I'm curious, like, are you meeting these nows with reverence?
I was just gonna say, yes, my experience most recently going through COVID, I wasn't diagnosed, but that's what it was according to other people's symptoms that I had. Like, no taste and smell, and you know, is I chose, even in the pain, because I had some pain. Like I literally felt like I was giving birth and had contractions for 48 hours through my back. And I can't take any pills or anything. And so I used my breath and meditation, and I cried through it, and I surrendered. And I heard so clearly, Christine, frickin' use this as a sacred experience. And I just looked up and I saw that cleanup board, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I did.
Oh,
I just said, you know, I'm anything, this is here to serve me for my highest good. I'm using it for my growth and my upliftment. And it was profound, really. I mean, I'm grateful. Because choosing to use it for my good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I just feel like I'm choosing to allow everything to come up to bring it to the light. Yeah.
Thank you for getting through the COVIDicus.
Oh, yeah.
You know, look at your immune system now. Look at your antibodies.
Yeah,
What? They're like, I will never die. You know,
I'm even
like,
stronger
really.
and more resilient.
Yeah. I mean, like big time, right?
Badass.
Like, that's the magic of that. Just from what I've learned from those science courses.
To share too,
Yeah.
I had COVID at the same time.
I'm so glad to share with you.
I know, thank you. I loved it. Afterwards, like, I guess it's been, what, a week since I've been on quarantine or whatever, but like, that week has been so much healing. And it hasn't been around COVID. It's been around like everything psychologically that's like, you don't need that, you don't need that, you don't need that, you don't need that. And it's been instantaneous transformation rather than I had this thought and this means that, and like going down that rabbit hole of thinking back and forth, whereas it's now instantaneous for quite a lot of things. And I'm really curious if there's some sort of tie-in there to actually having COVID.
I mean, I've read it. I have my sources from something else, but you know, like I have been,
doctor.
I have been told that, like, you know, some people who are dealing with COVID is purging out what you do.
Yeah.
And the ones that are going are meant to go.
Send me that
Yeah.
link.
Like humanity
Ooh.
decided to have COVID.
Yeah.
To be that awakening for everyone. And I was the third, so all three of us got it.
The three COVID musketeers.
We were the only three that I knew of, so it's like, okay.
It's been a long time, like we're all safe.
Right.
So that everybody knows, like safety first, we're all actually good. For the timelines, we're good.
And for me, it was the same kind of experiences and just flushing everything out, and I've had allergies and sinus issues for my whole life, and a lot of that was in my head, and then that went into the mental and psychological aspect that went all the way back from 5 to 6 years old. And so, yeah, I feel like my experience with COVID has been absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for every minute of it, because I did take those moments where you're like, okay, I'm breathing through this. Like, I'm going to take this in, I'm going to feel the pain, I'm going to accept it for what it is. Take that moment and figure out really what is this? Why is this happening? And then cycle that through. So it's been
I mean, can you imagine? I'm glad you all three survived BT dubs. Survival rate, 100%. Yay! Celebrate. You know, yay. And well, I mean, some people don't. You know, I mean, like, for real, some people don't survive it.
Be able to say 100%.
Exactly.
Right.
Right? I know, that's why it makes it funny.
Statistics,
That's why it's like a statistics show. But it's kind of like, you know, we have these opportunities where we just feel like complete 100% crap and like we're dying. You know, the psychological death, the small self death, the ego death, which whatever, that's a whole other story. You know, the death of like my body, you know, because there are some people with COVIDicus that like, you literally think that your body isn't going to make it. And if anyone's ever experienced a lot of physical pain, there are moments where you're like, oh, I may not actually make it, because the amount of physical pain that I'm in, I can't imagine it worse. And I actually may not be able to make it through this, you know? And then there's also those emotional pains of like, oh crap, like this is like, I feel like this is driving me nuts. And what if I don't come back? You know, like, and we get into these really big depths of pain, mental, physical, emotional, psychological, which is still anyway, but like, anyway, and we get into these like big depth pains and discomforts and like just and then we can go through so much if we hold it in reverence, right? If I can be in grief for the body that I'm in that I think is dying, right? If I can actually feel the sadness and remorse for all the decisions I made previous to this now, and so much love and compassion for the person that made these really stupid decisions, you know, if I can offer my abusers a lot of compassion and grace for the kid that they were that received the brunt of a fraction of what they gave me. You know, if I can take all of these things with so much reverence, then when the planets do this galactic shuffleboard move, it's not as bad, because we're like, what? Oh God, that's awful. Ooh, okay. You know, and we can like kind of get through it with so much more grace, so that we know if we're burning a bridge or building a boat. You know, like we have that knowing, that deep knowing of like, okay, so if I'm going to smoke this marijuana, like, am I going to like bless and thank the plant that gave its life in this moment for me? You know, am I going to do that? Or am I going to be like, let me just roll another blunt, yo? Speaking about my own lived experiences, you know, like which way are we going to like view these life experiences that we get to be in?
That's another. So I had I guess you would call it download, right? Like a month ago when I was out in the river, right? I felt like Mother Gaia was telling me that we're gonna have to go back to Mother Gaia and like discuss it and like be with it, like totally. And I got a confirmation from a post that I saw today that literally said the same thing I had downloaded a month ago, because you know how like social media outage yesterday. Yeah, so kind of saying that like it's gonna keep doing that throughout the whole year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, that's your comment. And therefore it's like we're gonna have to create that community, that tribe, and go back to Mother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a conversation today with someone, and I was like, it's so funny. Those who know how to human at the basic levels are going to be the ones that survive anything. And not just the ones that like know how to make butter and can milk a cow and sew clothes and these really beautiful things that I want for people to know. It's going to be the humans that know how to get together and have conscious conversations about anything. To be able to hold space if someone's having a meltdown, a breakdown, a breakthrough, whatever it is. Because if we don't have the ability and skill set to do what we're doing, just like literally just being in a circle and having a conversation about whatever, we won't survive. We're doing this outside. There are people in this world that wouldn't be able to handle, one, physically sitting in the positions that we're sitting in. There are people who wouldn't be able to emotionally or energetically handle or psychologically, mentally handling being outside right now. Some people couldn't handle the distraction of potentially traffic, which I don't know about y'all, but like all the sounds went away. Like, if we as a human can't do this, then we can't go through the real hard times where when, Pachamama speaks and we got to actually listen and do a thing about it. Like, we're not going to make that through. If we don't know real pain, we can't be compassionate for anyone else. Which makes me even more grateful when I go through these really hard times. I was talking to someone today about what really breaks us through anything. Birth and death. Two biggest businesses here in the United States. Literally. But those are the two things to me that gives me more space for compassion and love, period. And I was talking about this, and I feel that this is going to tie in. Having a challenge maybe forgiving someone in my life because, they suck. Basically, they just suck. And, they're not going to not suck at any point in time in the timeline that they needed to, because that needed to happen yesterday to me. Right? You're not stopping them sucking enough. Anyway. And then this may sound really morbid just for a moment, but y'all want to do this? Y'all want to do a little experience? So just think of somebody that sucks in your life right now. Like whether they're just they make comments that you're just really? Okay. You know what I mean? Or that, they mistreat their animals. Just somebody that just sucks. You got somebody in your heart mind right now? You accept them and they're sucking. And it could be a famous person, whatever, okay? So now in your heart, just hold this person. Take a deep breath. Just let it go. And really envision this human being. This human being that has caused pain and suffering in some realms that have affected you in some way. And you know that you've grown from it and the gifts that they've given you. And you can also sense this irritation within because they still are who they are. There's nothing wrong with this irritation. It is a part of your human. Acknowledge that, yes, I'm still irritated. They still have a frequency that's not in alignment with what I want mine to be. And so it's reverberating a part within me that I get to heal. Okay, well, I still don't really love them as much as I can. See this person as a child because they were a child at some point, and you'll start to see why they became who they are that created pain in your life. You'll see the pains and the suffering and the abuse and the words and the neglect and the abuses that were offered to them. And that opens your heart a little bit more to compassion. And yet you still are irritated because they are still choosing to be the person that they are in this now, which is maybe not so kind or loving. And now in this moment, just in this moment, imagine that they die. They are no longer here on this earth plane. So all of the places of conversation where you could have offered to ask for forgiveness, to tell them that you forgive them, to look at them one more time in the eyes, to give them one more forgiving hug, to tell them, you know what, I see you. That those are gone because they're no longer here. And in that space of their complete absence, no more time is left. No more space for retribution or shifting. And all the words that were never spoken. Feel in your heart what that feels like. Notice if it feels like grief or love or compassion or grace or whatever. And then in this moment, for this, pretend they are reborn. All of a sudden, they just came back to life and they're in a new energy field. They got the same neural pathways, the same beating heart, the same old body that they had before, but they're in a whole new field of consciousness that you're going to hold for them. Seeing them as being completely surrounded with awareness, with love, with kindness, in a way that they start to absorb and feel for the first time ever, because it's not being directed at them in their places of pain and lack. Rather, it's just surrounding them and encompassing them and starting to infiltrate through their cells and their energy fields and their chakras and their brain and their body and all of the mental body and physical body and emotional bodies. Let them be surrounded with what they had never received, and let that be from your big heart that you recognize the value of them on this earth plane only in their absence. Trusting that who they are on this earth plane is a gift, and all the ways that they irritated or didn't support or aggravated or abused, that they were holding space for others and themselves to grow and expand in love. And what a trooper, taking one for the team to be on this earth plane and carrying around that density for as long as they have. Let them be surrounded with this divine, graceful light as you take a big breath in. And as you breathe out, release them totally. There's a space around birth and death. And when we go to in our mind's eye and in our heart, there's a lot of space that we can work with. And I feel that as things are starting to come up into our own awareness, from our own self, from reflections of ourselves through the lens of another, through our family, through our friends, through lovers, through exes, these are the gifts for us to be able to shine this light on and to make heartfelt, discerning decisions. And to remember that we have at least another week to keep trying new choices, right? So today I'm going to ignore that phone call. Well, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to take that phone call. Oh, the next day I get that phone call again. Okay, maybe I'm just going to talk to them differently now. Maybe I'm going to joke with them this time because I'm tired of answering the phone now. It's been 7 days of the same caller, or we can just keep answering the same call the same way over and over again. But that's not why we're here, right? That's the stagnation program that we're literally ascending through to create the new earth. How y'all feeling? I'd like to hear feedback words. Feedback words.
I almost like dropped into a meditative state.
Yeah.
Like that was really relaxing. I needed that. I had a lot of people So I think it's like that storyline that just makes you like, so just the death was like, well, even if they do disappear, I still feel so much love for them. So I think just to know that, like, it's not that I hate them because I love them so much. That's why I hated them because they hurted me, you know. But it's to the fact that, like, at the end of the day, I do still love them. It's just I just don't love the density that they share.
Thank you for sharing that awareness. That was so. Thank you.
I had somebody do me wrong in March to the extent that most people were like, you should eat their guts. And I never felt that way. It was compassionate empathy, understanding that their conditions made them do what they did. And even going through this activity with that allowed me to expand more into the reality of, why don't I say I forgive you? Like, that's possible. And we haven't had dialogue since before this incident happened. So to have that possibility like present itself in a tangible way is really like expanding into that potential is really, really interesting.
Does that inspire you to reach out to this human in real life and you be the one that makes the phone call for them in this galactic dance?
There is inspiration there. I don't think it's I'm going to do that tomorrow. I think it's more curiosity at what it looks like to start that engagement process.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sort of what I was thinking, reflecting on that visualization, that I was really through the whole imagined death piece, I was struggling to like really feel the like love I should feel for that person.
Mhm.
I was just feeling like the gratingness of what I was feeling was a lot of power about things that I want to say that I haven't said, like, you know, my empowered voice. But then I was such lightness with the idea of rebirth, because in that, like, seeing this person, you know, for their true self, just like so much relief, like, oh, yeah. You know, I know who that person is. I don't always like, see that with certain parts of my body. But also, I realized that that relation to my voice and speaking up, it takes me a while to process, so it takes me a while to even remember what happened the last 2 days. But I realized what has happened the last 2 days is that I've had this, I realized it when you were talking about like the repeat phone call. Because I've had these like multiple times in the last 2 days of people actually literally calling me, needing to like sort of spill their guts. And I'm glad for that. Like I kind of have this story, maybe with other people, maybe about myself, of like being a good listener and being empathetic and being able to receive. And so I did that in these cases, which was fine, but also didn't necessarily speak fully, like my own, you know, my own voice, which not that I always have to, but that's interesting because that also came up in the meditation, like the reserve aspect, like closing down, not saying.
Thank you for sharing that. I would like to reflect. So my mother just had surgery, like yesterday, and she had. I think it would be okay if I share this, you know, like out loud. feel it. Okay, so she had an abdominal aortic aneurysm, and so it's like this bulging in a really important aortic valve, and so it just keeps expanding. And so what can happen is it can just explode, and you usually die. Um, Fireworks. Okay. Boom. Or it can, it can grow and then like blood clot and like all these different types of things can happen with this bulging space in this artery. And so they go in to do the surgery to like put up basically like little walls in there so that the blood will flow and kind of bypass this bulge. And just kind of like thinking about what Lacey just shared is like there are these parts of us that when we don't let it come out fully, right, that it can do so much damage. Whether that's letting this love flow out or letting my voice be heard, letting my actions move through me to be seen, telling someone, hey, I don't like that, and I'm going to request you to stop, or like whatever these things are, that we will, that was the vision I saw. And how interesting is it that the manifestation is what it is right now? Beautiful. And it's interesting that we'll keep manifesting that phone call on repeat over and over again.
When she had said that, it kind of made me think about like, I think it's just wanting to be in your heart state right? And at times I feel that like I didn't get that image because I just saw them for like whatever love I had for them. But I do understand what you mean by that. Like you want to be in your heart state when you see them again, so that at least then you know that you're standing.
That's a place. It's like when you get this phone call, right? It's like, being able to say, I love you so much and I ain't got time for this right now. Love you, bye. Or, oh, you're going to share this with me? And normally I would just smile and nod and be like, yeah, And actually this time saying, yeah, I hear you and I've heard it for the past 5 years. And I would really love for your story to change. And I'd love for you to call me when you're ready to change it. Or like whatever that is. Because otherwise we end up with that proverbial space for this aneurysm, where it's just going to pool up or do damage, or it's going to just come out. Like, why do you keep calling me? And the person's like, because I've called you every day for the past 10 years. I didn't know that you hated me. And then all of a sudden, then you feel bad. And you're like, then you got to make the phone call. Then you got to be the one making the now annoying phone call to be like, hey, can you forgive me? Because I totally was a turd. My bad. Thank you for sharing that. Would anyone else like to share anything about that?
Just had an interesting experience that I didn't expect, which is fun.
Surprise.
Yeah. It just came to me, and it was when you said now they're basically being reborn again right now. What came to me was the Ho'oponopono prayer, and it kind of surprised me, not when it happened, a little bit back, but right now when I thought about it, because really intuitively I wouldn't have thought to go there, but it makes perfect sense, of course. And it was, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And here was the person that I felt not safe in their space, and that I didn't feel this unconditional love with consistently in my life. And that's really profound that it came to me to say, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you, I'm sorry. And when I heard that, I'm sorry, please forgive me, it was for me forgetting that they are divine beings. And that was like, whoa, that made me melt, because in truth, in my experience, always, 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 that's true. And so, and I would have thought, but not with her. But of course, even more so, that's really cool that just kind of one more example of holding us, our relationship. My daughter-in-law, I call her my daughter-in-law. My daughter-in-law. And for the infinite possibilities of us, in a space like that, with me knowing that whatever the wounds are, but just understanding that, and me literally soul to soul saying, wow, I'm sorry that I doubted you, that I forgot that you're divine. Now, of course, I won't be a doormat. That's
the
different,
discernment.
right? Exactly. Don't give the person not sober, keys to the car to drive, that kind of thing. So, anyways, but that was cool.
Thank you.
Kind of
for
liberating,
sharing. Yay.
Like,
Do you guys see yourself in there too?
mhm.
Okay. Because I added myself in there too. Like, I mean, 'cause back then I saw myself dying was almost like, ugh. But then it was like, if I really want to,
Yeah.
I want to let that
Yeah,
go.
very cool.
Oh, interesting. That's interesting. I started this morning with a conversation around Ho'oponopono. And it's interesting that this evening has kind of turned into like that being the full circle. And I got to thinking about I work with the quantum, right? So like all different areas of the quantum in all different ways. And one part of this quantum energy nugget that the I am is in, this is all going to tie together because I just want to share it. And then I'll drop out of this, and then because it'll leave everybody who's like watching this will be like, whoa, maybe, I don't know. Anyway. So, we're all reflections of each other. Every single thing that is not you is an aspect of you. Maybe it's a different expression of you, a different embodiment of you, a different shape of you. It's a different nature of you. It is you because the I am is I am, and it's the I am Jane, but I am. I just called this part of the I am Jane. And this part of the I am is encased in what I'm going to call Alice. You know what I mean? So that tree over there is also the I am because it's all consciousness. So I'm like, oh, snap. So that tree is a reflection of me, right? So oftentimes we look around us and we're like, I don't like that reflection. I don't like that reflection. I want to be that reflection. Why is that reflection getting all this attention and I'm not, right? That reflection is way better than me. And I'm way better than that reflection over there. And that's it. Like, we'll go on for like lifetimes doing this. And which is where Ho'oponopono comes in wicked helpful and handy. So anyway, back to this quantum thing. So we have grown into a consciousness where there are parts of our like energy cell that are almost like, I see them as like little baby mirrors. Okay, like teeny tiny little mirrors that are all around us. Okay, and they're all aiming inward. And so we're looking around, and no matter what we're looking at, it's all these like kind of distorted versions of ourselves. And so we're like nitpicking everything, right? Like literally, it's like, I didn't realize I had that curl sticking up there, and I had that weird gray hair, and that one's new. And oh God, that's really frizzy back there. And oh my God, my butt's that big. And, and I can't see where I'm going. And I'm just right. We get in this like total headspace because we have nothing but us to look at. And it's so uncomfortable that we just like project out on everyone else. Okay. what I work on in my own quantum for my daily practice when I remember, and I'm sharing this in case it resonates, is I take these mirrors and I will flip them all out. So now I am literally the reflection of all that sees me. Now, who I am on the inside, that's up to me because nobody's seeing what is really me other than what they're seeing that I am. Does that make sense? So then I work on this internal bit encased in these flipped out mirrors of like, well, I just want to be as much love and light as I can be. I want to have as much grace and compassion as I can. I want to be as in much joy as I can because I can't even see me. So now I can only feel me. Well, I want to feel this joy and this pleasure and this experience of this human. It's still going to suck because I'm a human. I got density. But then when others see those reflections, they will see the truth. Because they're no more, those mirrors are not any longer being distorted. They're not being distorted anymore, right? Because when I'm looking through it, it's only a portion, so it's a distorted perception. But when it's out, they're seeing this fullness. Does that make sense? So I've been working in this quantum with flipping these mirrors out and then just working on the me. And it makes me think about the Ho'oponopono because every time I'm looking at somebody, I'm seeing someone either reflecting out who they are, their higher self, like their divinity, right? That thing that the I am. I'm seeing the I am reflecting out. Or I'm seeing someone that's like almost like a shell of themselves because you can only see the backside of the mirrors. And you don't know their own truths because they're in there fighting for it the whole way out. You know? And so when I Ho'oponopono, I acknowledge that like you are me and I am you and I love you so much, whether you can see yourself or not. Same with me. You know, God, forgive me because I haven't seen you because you couldn't see you. I tried to see you when I could. You know? And that's where the Ho'oponopono prayer really is. I think it's coming in for the collective to start to remember that we're from this oneness. Yeah. You know, and like, oh God, then I'm you. Oh wow. And then there's this part of that realization. This is such a like tangent where I'm like, oh my God, I'm you. I have so much that I get to live up to. You know, or like, oh my God, I'm you. I've totally been slacking. You know, and not from this like I suck, I'm not as good as, but like, whoa, I have so much potential. Because if you human can do this and you human can do that, then there's no telling what I human can do. And I think that's where we're going to start to get more medicine from this planet dance for the next week or so. Ooh, how can I be this human that would handle this in what way? I don't know. I'll handle it like Zachary. I don't even know. You know, let me see how Morgan handles this now. Let me call her spirit in. So that was my, like, the mirrors have been coming up again lately. I haven't played with them in a minute, but they've been coming back in. And that literally, there's like an energetic, like, mind or like in this realm of the distance between my physical and mind. And I feel it like right there. Anyway. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, for real. Because no, like when I say that, it's like I'm doing a lot of talking today, sorry. But no, because even when I first met you know, I think that was the thing it was very hard for me to like really like build any type of trust or let anyone in, right? But I think that's why, like, I think you just saw me regardless of my shell. And like, that's why, like, you saying that is kind of like what I'm working through right now as well, because I'm expanding, and there's times where, like you said, like, I could be looking outward, not knowing that even though I don't want to project things, I'm seeing it for what it is, and sometimes I'm projecting it because I think that's what I am. And therefore, it's like, well, if I just turn the mirror around to reflect who I am, then I'm at peace with it. So, yeah, thank you for just reminding me, and I think that's just me having to continuously apply that. Because, I mean, if you didn't give me the opportunity, how could I have opened up?
Thank you for that reflection.
No, thank you. Like, it could have been a sensitive topic, but we'll keep it for another day.
Thank you for that. And thank you for being that, that expression. And I think like all of you and all of us and like all the humans, that whatever way humans are showing up, sharing themselves, reflecting out, that it may be parts of that mirror out and some are in, and they talk about a total mind wobble right there. I mean, really, could you imagine if you have some flipped in and some flipped out? That's most of the human. That's the static. That they're like, I'm up, I'm down, I'm all over the place. I don't know anything because I can't. And they're like living in that stagnant zone of static. It's because those mirrors they're all over the place. It's too much. It's literally like your arm sleeves, except not cool. Like those are cool. It's like your arm sleeves, but not cool. I just want to quickly say thank you to you all for joining. I appreciate you so much. Please leave comments and all the things and share this with anyone that you think would be of service. And I love you all so very much. Please keep taking care of yourselves and each other. And if you want more information about how to join, then send a message. Okay.